14 years after being outlawed, Idaho could bring back the firing squad for executions for inmates on death row. Idaho lawmakers looking at passing a bill with a veto-proof majority that would restore firing squad as a backup execution method. So this would only be used if the drugs for lethal injection cannot be obtained. Lethal injection executions have had their own share of issues over the past decade, even beyond, mainly states not being able to obtain the drugs. Drug companies also have increasingly barred executions from using their drugs, citing that they were meant to save lives, the drugs were, and not to take them. Lawyers for some death row inmates have also argued that firing squads would be less painful than some of the lethal injection methods. This bill comes as trials, including one very high-profile trial that we're going to be covering, Bryan Kohberger in Idaho, are set to take place. He is charged in the death of those 4 Idaho students. So joining me this morning to talk more about this, Juandalynn Taylor. She's a law professor and fellow at Gonzaga University Law School, and she's also worked more than 177 death penalty cases across the country. Juandalynn, thank you for being with us this morning. What's your understanding of this debate about the firing squad right now as it pertains to Idaho and why it's happening now?
Well, good morning. It is happening right now because the controversy has to do with, can we get in the United States the medicine that's necessary to complete these executions? What's interesting is that the Department of Corrections across the United States are treating this as if it's an emergency. And part of the reason why they are allowed or want to present this to the public as if it's an emergency is because the medications that they have on hand are starting to expire. But in no way is this an emergency. All of the Department of Corrections across the United States have had plenty of notice. And when I say plenty of notice, I mean as long as a decade, knowing that these medicines would not be available because the European manufacturers, as well as US manufacturers, have said, we are not going to give you this medication so that you can kill citizens in the United States. We are in the business of making medicine to help people, not to aid in people's deaths. And so this is where the debate is. How is it that industries want to connect with the prison system in either the preservation of life or either the taking of life? And the companies are saying, we want to aid in the preservation of life and not the taking of life.
Talk a little bit about the argument behind, and you've been involved in lots of death penalty cases, the lethal injection option. Some lawyers are saying that that is more painful, without being too descriptive, but it's kind of the point of this segment. Why do they say that?
Many people are saying it's more painful going through the lethal injection. The firing squad is going to be more painful than lethal injection, primarily because you have to practice. You have volunteers from the Department of Corrections who are not sharpshooters. They're not trained killers. We are asking people to volunteer who are normally just members of a prison guard or prison staff to take the life of someone. And it's someone who, as a volunteer, you don't know if they're given live rounds, if they're given blank rounds. They're given a target that's placed over the prisoner's heart and said, aim at that. And so it's really guesswork on if they can get it right or not. The lethal injections, at least, were administered by a medical person who knew exactly what the dosages were, how much to give, and how long a person would live after it was administered. The firing squad is a guessing game, and that is 100% against what the Constitution says in terms of avoiding cruel and unusual punishment. So this is where the controversy becomes most important. And so the firing squad is not more humane than the lethal injection, which is why many states removed it. In fact, Idaho removed it from their books in 2009 in favor of the lethal injection because the scientific standard, which the 8th Amendment says that we have to meet, says that it has to be humane. It has to have a certain degree of painlessness to it, and it has to preserve human dignity. And so Idaho knew, more than 10 years ago, back in 2009, that lethal injection was far more humane than having a fire squad when they removed firing squad from their books.
Yet we are discussing it. As we just showed a map, Mississippi, Utah, Oklahoma, and South Carolina currently allow a firing squad if another execution method is unavailable. That, according to the Death Penalty Information Center. When was the last time that a firing squad in the U.S. was used?
The last time a firing squad was used in the U.S. was in the state of Utah in 2010. And when you talk to the guards, you talk to the family member, in fact, of Ronnie Gardner, who was the person who was executed, they will all testify to the fact that this person's body was literally torn apart. That all of the mandates and safeguards that were put into place to shield the people who were actually the actual executioners didn't effectively work. They still saw the brain and the head torn apart, the blood-soaked clothing. And so there's an inhumane factor that that needs to be a consideration in terms of the people who are also carrying out the execution.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.